Hey 2033, it's Dr. Wilderman again. And this week we are talking about different structures for news writing. And we are starting with the basic written news story and the structure called inverted pyramid. It's very common, it's been around for many, many decades. And it refers to the shape of the inverted pyramid, right? An upside down triangle. It refers to a style that starts with the most important information and narrows to lesser important information. Notice that I don't say, you know, unimportant information, because if the information is unimportant, you don't want it in the story at all. But let's break down the structure of the inverted pyramid. All right, so we've already talked about lead writing. So in your lead, you're trying to get in the most important information. You're answering many of the 5 W's and H, the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Maybe you don't answer all of those in the lead, but you get a good chunk of them in, especially the who and the what. Okay. Approximately 25 to 30 words. It needs to include a hook of some kind, right? Something that hooks the reader. It's the reason the story is being written now. So you have your lead at the top of the inverted pyramid, most important information. Then you're going to move on to the body of the basic news story. Think of the body as the information that supports what you brought up in the lead. It's going to expand on the ideas and information presented on the lead, give the readers more detail about that, right? And this is going to be the place where you typically introduce your sources and you have quotes and paraphrases from your sources. You're going to, if there's conflict in the story, you're going to be presenting the conflict through use of your sources. You're going to be providing some evidence, background, details. And again, think of it always in terms of flowing from more important to lesser important information. The end of the inverted pyramid is sometimes referred to as the tail. This is information that is interesting and relevant, but if you had to cut it, the story could still stand on its own. Now that stems back to print media days where you really had limited space in a newspaper, and editors like to cut from the bottom of a story. And so it wasn't a difficult thing to do to cut a story down. Also, think about your reader's attention span. You want readers to get as much information up front possible. So if they just read the first couple of sentences or the first couple of paragraphs of your story, they're still quite well informed. But as they go through, if they're still interested, you're giving them more detail, more quotes from your sources, more background information. The tail is also a good place to put in, things like historical relevance of an event, extra details about your sources. It's the place where you kind of tie some loose ends together. But again, it's not critical information that your audience has to have to understand the story. Also, in this particular visual that I pulled out, I really liked the way it was worded, but I do want to indicate this area that I circled in the body where it says that this might include photos, video, and audio. That's really referring to if the story is on a website. And think about scrolling through a story on a website. Usually if there are photos and video or audio clips, those are presented throughout the body of the story. And so that's what that's referring to. But for writing purposes, obviously, you're not, in this class, we're not dealing with photography, video, or audio. That'll come later when you all have some multimedia classes. So for now, that's really it. The inverted pyramid, it's been around for a long time. It's a tried and true format for news writing. It allows us to get the most important information out to our readers quickly and in a concise, succinct manner. And it has stood the test of time. It works really well. All right, next video, we'll be talking about the structure for broadcast news writing, and I will see you then.